Hello, my name is Bethany, and this is my channel, Bethany's Thoughts. Today, I am doing my August wrap-up! What? And man, has it been a wild ride this August. I definitely started hard, kind of took some dips in the reading for me a little bit, but I think I stayed pretty consistent with my reading this month, and considering I was doing 4 readathons like a maniac, I think I did pretty well. So I'm filming this a little bit early. I'm filming this August 26th. I have a couple more books that I think I'll be able to finish for the end of the month, and I'll add those at the end. But as of right now, my stats are I have done 11 books. So I'm really thrilled with that. And again, I think that I'll be able to probably finish 3 or 4 more. Cross fingers. I did the Trope-ical Readathon, the Disney movie Readathon, which focused on the High School Musical movie, the Disney Readathon, and Summer Fling Readathon. I'll list my TBR on the cards, and you can take a look at that and see what my TBR was all planned. That's where I went through each book that I read and what prompts they cover. And I'll link it in the description if you want to watch it after this video is over. And I'll link all the different readathons down below because I'm not going to go over them again. And all the details down below for the readathons that I did. To start off with, the very first book that I finished for August was the Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. That was about a 4-star, 4.5 star for me. It was about Sloane and Jason. Sloane was a character from the Friend Zone. There's something that happens in the Friend Zone where she ends up single. The Happy Ever After playlist is kind of her relationship that she gets into after the events of the Friend Zone. I love the Friend Zone, if you didn't know. That was my 5-star read last month. It wasn't as good to me as the Friend Zone. I really liked Sloane and Jason's chemistry. I thought they had a great build-up. I really liked their banter. The conflict was really weak. I thought that, Jason being the rock star, kind of took away a little bit of the element of their story. I don't know. Yeah, it was just okay towards the end, but the build-up of the relationship was really, really good. And the epilogue it featured which cameos Josh and Kristen from the Friend Zone, who I loved. The epilogue was so good, and that made that worth it. Still really sweet story, still really delightful. I love that she really deals with having him and seems to really try to deal with things that are, and themes that are a lot more difficult to put in romances, but I think she does still puts a lot of humor into it, which I really, really appreciate. The next book I read was a YA romance. It's called The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. That I rated 5 stars. I cannot believe how many. So this August has been extraordinary. I've had some really good reads this month, and maybe it's just because I'm just choosing quality books. Maybe it's just because I'm choosing quality stuff. I'm gonna take credit for it. I'm choosing great things. It's been a great month, I have to say, and Sun Is Also a Star was one of them. It was a 5-star. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. It was between Natasha and Daniel, who were an interracial romance. Natasha's Jamaican, Daniel's Korean American. Writing was beautiful. It was very poetic. There was something really philosophical about it. There was really something interesting about it in the narrative style where their perspectives were always shifting. And I think it really is a great way of seeing how everyone's on their own journey and no one actually knows what anyone else is feeling or doing or thinking in their own story, and everyone is struggling in some certain way. And I think that was really portrayed really well and really beautifully. And there was a lot of discussion of race that I think was really relevant. And it came out 3 or 4 years ago, but it was really relevant to, I feel like, everything happening now with Black Lives Matter, with immigration, absolutely. So I think it was just really a beautiful story, and I really loved it. YA contemporary. I really, really enjoyed it. I was a little bit disappointed by the ending, but I think it was still storied, really beautifully told, and definitely makes me want to make sure to go back and read everything else by Nicola Yoon, for sure. The next book I read was Obsidio by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This was the 3rd and last book of the Illuminae file series. The book itself, I feel like, is a 4-star, but I rated the book 5 stars, and here's why. I think the first book was the best in the series, hands down. But the series as a whole, I thought was really well done. It's really challenging to come up with all of those memos and all those letters to be able to weave a story as together as that, and the dates and times of things, like there's a lot of plotting involved, and I really can admire that. And I think that the series as itself is a success. I think the book itself, the Obsidio, it kind of was a little bit heavy because there was, and slow plotting wise, because there was so many more characters added to the mix. So there was a lot more going on and a lot more build up to things. And then the ending was super abrupt, which I understand, because the ending, you couldn't have a lot of wrap up in the ending anyway, because a lot of the narrative that you get is through memos and everything. So Aiden is a big character. He's an AI that the computer that has like his own narrative in the first book. He's a big character in the first book. They continued his story in the second a little bit, which he wasn't as bad in the second. But in the third, I was just kind of annoyed by him over his way of black and white thinking, and over his, manipulations, and I was kind of over him. I really appreciated his like moral ambiguity in the first book. In the second book, he was like okay, but the third book, I really was low-key annoyed by him, and I kind of was over Aiden. I still really enjoyed the series, and I think overall the series still is a success. However, I have one very big bone to pick. Each book focuses on a certain couple that kind of get together as the book events go along. I really liked the couple in this third book, but because you have the other characters involved, you don't get a lot of their romance, especially because it's like almost like a second chance, like they're reunited. So I think I wanted a little bit more from them, because I really liked them a lot, but you don't really get that. The bone tip I have to pick is there is one character, so each couple gets like their own like, pairing or whatever, and there's one character. She's disabled. She's the badass character. I loved her character in the second book, and I loved her also again in the third book. And she doesn't get a love interest, which I feel like I'm low-key upset about. Why does the disabled character get a love interest? Like, I think she's younger than a lot of the other characters that are in the books, but, I mean, come on. Disability deserves love too, okay? Just really annoyed by that fact. Just saying. I still really like the series, and I still think that was really, really interesting, and I would love to see something more from them like that in the future. The next book I read was The Teaching Hours, which is from How to Date a Douchebag series by Sarah Nee. That was a novella, so it was about Rex and Hannah. Rex is from the Coaching Hour. He actually is a character who's kind of considered like a really annoying douchebag who can't get any ladies throughout the series, and Coaching Hours is when he kind of redeems himself, and then he didn't get his happily ever after, and I was kind of low-key upset because he deserved it after everything he went through in the Coaching Hours. He just deserved it, and he ended up like having this really great character arc. This novella was kind of like a wrap-up for his story and his romance. It was a little bit smutty. It was really short. It was only like, I want to say like 80 pages, like super, super short. I didn't really know if I believed his connection with Hannah, but they were still this ending was very sweet. I thought it was kind of cute, and I kind of had hope that they were like good and gonna last. I couldn't really get that impression. I don't know. I rated it 3.5 to like 4-star, and I think I rated it that high really because I just have this affinity for Rex and just really, really wanted him to get a good ending. I would strongly recommend the first 3 books in the series. The next book I read was With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. That was about Imani. I really liked this book. I rated it 4.5 stars. Imani is about a teen mom who's finishing her senior year in high school, and she loves to cook. And she doesn't really think it's going to go anywhere or become anything. I think she's just trying to live her life and get through day to day, just as a single mom, and navigating and trying to graduate high school and juggling all these things. And then she has an opportunity to join a culinary class, kind of has her world expanded for her and what her options actually could be. And I think it was really authentic. I think it was beautifully told. I love that the story was a teen mom that had already become a mom, not like another pregnant teen story. Like, I think I really liked that aspect of it. And there was a really sweet, like, romance with one of the characters named Malachi with Imani that I thought was really sweet. There was a lot going on with it, but I just thought that the writing was particularly beautiful, and the relationships that she has with everyone are really, really well done and really well told. And yeah, I just thought it was a really, really great story and great read. So definitely recommend. And also the representation, so good. Super great representation, which I also appreciated. Really can't not recommend enough. The next book I read is Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. That I rated 2.5 stars. This was actually one of my biggest disappointments this month. And I might get hate for this, I don't know. But I went through and looked at Goodreads, and a lot of people have thought very similar to me. There's been a lot of high ratings, but there's been quite a few low ones or medium grade ones. And here's why. So this is about Sophia. Sophia is a Black teenager who is living in this very, very oppressive, heteronormative, patriarchal society in this fairy tale land. And Cinderella's story has been warped and twisted to like force this oppression on these people. A woman has to marry a man, and Sophia has a childhood crush on her best friend, who I can't remember the best friend's name anymore. There's a lot there. If I could just rate it on the fact of how great of an allegory it is, like how the world is depicted is very similar to the world we live in now, and how restrictive and oppressive that is. And I mean, I could quote you there's some great lines from that book. I can quote you lines to be able to like compare it to today's society word for word. Absolutely. I could write a whole essay on that. Easy. 5 pages. Done. Because the allegory is all there and so great. All the 5 stars. But it's also a story. And there's a lot of lacking elements for me in story-wise. The plotting was really awkward. The pacing was all over the place. The world building was really weak. I was kind of bored. Like, the romance was sweet, but also like I don't know how believable it was between Sophia and Constance, and it was not great. It was a first novel for her. I have hope there might be better things in the future. I think there was a lot there and it was very interesting, but as far as like plotting, no. I think the book just got way too focused on the concept and not necessarily on the story, if that makes sense. I was here for the allegory. I just didn't enjoy the story. It was just a little bit disappointing. It made me so sad because I had such high hopes. It was not what I hoped. If you want to see a heteronormative patriarchal society literally burned to the ground, then read this book. But if not, then you're going to be probably a little bit disappointed. The next book I read was Forbidden by Beverly Jenkins. This was about Ryan and Eddie, and this was my first Beverly Jenkins that I read. And I loved it so much. I rated it 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this a lot. It was definitely a slow burn romance between these 2 characters, and I've just really enjoyed it. So Ryan is biracial. He is white and Black, but he can pass as a white man. So in this post-Civil War society, he lives in Nevada, which is kind of like the Old West, this like mining town, and he decides to pass as white. So everyone assumes he's white. Everyone thinks he's white. He has land. He has property. He has all these things because he just decides to pass as white. And he's even engaged to a white woman. And then he slowly starts to fall in love with this obvious darker skinned Black woman. And just their chemistry and their connection and the slow burn, and the fact that like he really has to deny his Black roots and where he comes from, and denying a part of them. Like he gets all the advantages of being white, but in doing so he loses so much as well. And I think that this book does such a beautiful job of like showing that and portraying that, and kind of his struggle with it, and his struggle as well as as his feelings get deeper and deeper for Eddie. Yes, I just really enjoyed it so much. I also thought it was really great, the little bit more of the history of what was going on after the Civil War, how Blacks were still fighting for their freedom and their civil rights, and not in like, but I appreciate it in not like a this is what happened preachy sort of way. Like this is what Black people were talking about at the time and what they were dealing with at the time, and it was just expressed really well and really naturally. And yes, and that makes me want to read all the Beverly Jenkins books, absolutely. But I really just enjoyed writing and Eddie so much, and their connection and their chemistry, and yes, I loved it. All the stars. All of them. The next book I read is When a Scot Ties the Knot by Tessa Dare. I listened to that on audio. That is about Madeline and Captain Logan Mackenzie. Madeline starts writing to a fictitious person that she made up named Captain Logan Mackenzie. And then 10 years later, he shows up. Claiming her as his, the Highlander, claiming her as his bride. I listened on audio. I strongly recommend listening on audio. I thought it was really well done, and it was really sweet. They're just kind of there are two characters that are just a little bit broken in a certain way, and them coming together was just really sweet, and the banter was really good. I also love that Logan Mackenzie was like really supportive of, you know, Madeline makes like this career for herself as like a spinster. She just legit makes a career for herself and makes a livelihood for herself. And he actually is like super supportive of that, which I love that. There's so many romances that I come across where like the woman just gives up her career for the man. And I say to you, nonsense. I rate it 4.5 stars. It was really sweet and really delightful and a lot of fun. And just a really quick summer romantic read. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Would recommend. Tessa Dare. Can't go wrong. All the stars. The next book I read is The Secret by Julie Garwood. That is 4 stars. It is about Judith and Ian? Not sure how to say the name. Ian? I think it's Ian. Read some Julie Garwood, but I haven't loved them. This made me realize that maybe I need to read more of them because I did like this story. Jess from Peace Love Books really loved this. Lacey really loved this book. Lisa really loved this book. Like a ton of like my favorite romance booktubers really loved this book. So I thought I'd give it a try. And for a classic, it was very feminist for its time. It was written in the 90s, but definitely really feminist, and I really enjoyed that. I thought that there was a really great friendship between Judith and Frances Catherine. Judith's reason she goes to the Highlands is to be with Frances Catherine, who is Scottish, while Judith is English, at a time in history where neither of these people get along. They are just best friends. They meet at like this festival, and they become best friends when they're really young. And Judith goes to Frances Catherine because she's pregnant and she wants to be there for her best friend. And their like relationship is just really true to best friendhood. And I thought that was really done well and really lovely. And I definitely want to read the next book in the series, which is Ransom, which is about a couple of the other guys that are in The Secret, are getting their own brides apparently in England. They decided English women is where it's at. So after they meet Judith, again, I think Julie Garwood, I don't love her writing style. I don't really know what it is about it that I don't love. But again, I was like, maybe I should try to read more of her because this one I really enjoyed. So this was not on my August TBR whatsoever. I went to Barnes & Noble. I picked it up because I had seen a lot of people rave about it, and I decided I wanted to get it, and the cover is gorgeous. And then I started reading it while I was in the car waiting. My husband went to do some errands, and then I couldn't put it down, and then I read the whole thing. And that is You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. First of all, this cover is so gorgeous in person. I mean, I can't even tell you. I love this cover so much. It's so pretty. The Latinx representation is so good. Like, so good. I really loved it for that. And I really enjoyed it for that. And it was about Ashton and Jasmine. It was a really quick read, sweet, very readable. I really also love that there was like LGBT characters that were mentioned, but not like as like side characters, but not like, and even a trans character actually. Trans and a couple other LGBT characters were just like mentioned, but like in passing as a normal thing, not as like, I think there's a lot of books that like, oh, LGBT are like, there's a gay character here, right here, making my point, and it wasn't like that at all. I thought it was just done very well and naturally and flowed with the rest of the story, but in a way that was really refreshing that I noticed. I rated it 4 stars. I liked Jasmine's family dynamic. I think the conflict was a little weak. I don't know, and everyone just kind of got over things very easily, which I don't usually like as a plot device, but I still really like these characters, and I still really like them together, and it is about 2 characters that are starring in a, like, Netflix show that's based off a telenovela. He's full Puerto Rican, I believe. She's Puerto Rican and Filipino. So, which I really appreciated. I like that representation as well. I just really, really enjoyed it. And also made me want to check out more of Alexis Daria's stuff because she has a whole series about dancing. And she mentions dancing in this book as well. So it kind of makes me intrigued to check out her other dancing series that she has. But this was just delightful. I just really enjoyed this. I just think it was really refreshing and lovely. And the Latinx representation was just done so beautifully. Spanish, there was so much Spanish in this book, which I'm not very good at reading. But done like as a fluid thing throughout the book. It was just super lovely and delightful, and I really, really enjoyed it. Not expected to read it, read it anyway. Really delightful. The next book I read was Hands Down by Mariana Zapata. Rated it 4.5 stars. So close to 5. But that was about Zach and Bianca. Zach is a character that is from one of her other books called The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, which I really enjoyed and I really loved. So it was really fun to see Zach's character. And this is a childhood friends reunited and they become lovers. It was just really sweet. There was just something really sweet about the two of them coming together. I really I liked Zach's character. I didn't remember a lot of what happened to his character in Wall of Winnipeg and Me, but I remember I really liked his character from that book. Bianca was a little bit annoying to me. I kind of had a hard time with her, like, continuously, like, denying what was right in front of her. Like, it was so obvious Zach was developing feelings for her, but she was just so blind to it, which kind of, I mean, I get Mariana Zapata, like, that's usually her thing. Her thing is very, very slow burn, so she can't have the character really be aware of, like, this relationship happening. But I think also there's a lot of, it should have delved deeper into, I feel like it could have delved deeper a little bit into the fact that the reason for that is she has issues with her parents, basically kind of like abandoning her at her grandparents and then like leaving, and they kind of are very neglectful of her. So she kind of has this like issue with trusting people actually wanting to be in her life, and so she has that problem with Zach, especially the fact that they lost touch for 10 years. So, but there gets to a point, especially when there's like a particular twist that I totally predicted. I knew that there was something like that happened that should have kind of resolved that issue, and she still kind of harped on it and felt that way for a really long time, and it just kind of got a little bit annoying for me. I still really enjoyed it. I also still love that she gave him shit, though. That was really great. I love a woman character who can, like, you know, tell a guy to snap out of it. That's always fun. And I love the fact that she was a YouTuber. That was really cool. I also was like, damn, when she was talking about how, like, hard work it was and how much time she put into it, I was like, yeah, YouTubing is hard work. I definitely could relate on that level for sure. And the cameos from some of Mariana Zapata's other books, Vanessa and Aiden from Wall of Winnipeg and Me made an appearance, and that was super delightful and lovely to see the two of them again. And then a surprise cameo with Jasmine and Ivan, who were from With Love from Lugoff, which was my first Mariana Zapata and one of my favorites. That was delightful to see. And I like that she does just little touches of cameos. I think there's a lot of books that get bogged down in cameos too much. And but Mariana Zapata does a balance of it really well, where you just get to see the characters just a little bit, but it's also like really nice. I kind of low-key want a book about Trevor. I'm pretty sure Trevor's gay though, but his character was a lot of fun in this book, which you didn't get to see a lot of him in Wall of Winnipeg. You get to see a lot more of him in Hands Down. It was just super sweet and super cute. I think I was missing some of the angst from Mariana Zapata's other books that she has. Some of her stuff is a little bit more angsty. This is definitely a lot more sweeter. And that's the 11 books I've read so far. So I will have more of an update when I read more and finish up and wrap up this wrap-up. And I'm back. It is now September 2nd, and I have finished all the things for my crazy August Readathon. Woo! It's very exciting. I'm going to finish the readings for the rest of the books, and then we'll go from there. The next book that I read was Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This was the prequel for the Hunger Games. This was about Coriolanus, who's also known as President Snow from the first series. So I actually did a separate review for this book that should be coming probably next week or the week after. I had a lot of thoughts on it. I'm not going to go over a full review of what I did. I did rate it 3 stars. Thought it started really strong and was a bit of a disappointment. So there you have it. If you want to know more detailed thoughts, stay tuned to this channel and subscribe, and you'll see that from me in the next coming weeks. The next book that I read was Gabriel Fallen. That was by Nina West. That is on Kindle Unlimited. It is the Dirty Empire series. Nina West is the pen name for the more erotic stories from K.A. Tucker, which I loved K.A. Tucker from some other books that I've read of hers, and so I was really excited when she has like a steamier pseudonym. It was the second book in the series. I rated it 3.5 stars. I didn't like it as much as the first book. It is about Gabriel and Mercy. At this point, basically they have an arrangement where he's paying for certain things for her to stay with him and have sex with him. It's very steamy. There's also some ass play, if that's your thing. I don't know, I felt like the plot was a little bit boring in this one. The first book had a lot more tension and angst because they were like still like a hate connection. In this one, they're obviously starting to start catch feelings. It was just kind of a little bit meh for me, but quite the cliffhanger, and the third book's coming out this coming month, September, I think in a couple weeks. So I'm really excited to check out the third book. The next book I read was A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I rated it 4 stars. It is a YA book. It is Beauty and the Beast retelling. I love Beauty and the Beast retellings, and I thought this one was decent. Thought the world building was decent. I love that the heroine had cerebral palsy, like a disabled character. I thought that was great. The only confusing thing was that it's a series. So there's a next book in the series, and I'm just not sure where the rest of the series is going to go. Like, if this was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, like all the rest of the series is going to be based on fairy tales. I was a little bit confused about that. I don't quite understand what's happening here. Ren and Harper were the main characters, and then you get the story from their perspective. And then Gray, Harper's the girl, Ren is the prince, and Gray was their like soldier. He was like the royal guard commander. But I was thinking that they were trying to do like a love triangle between the three of them, and honestly my first thought was just like threesome. It's a threesome, obviously. It's a threesome. I've been reading way too much of Katie Robert books for my first impression to be threesome. That was what, from a YA romance. So silly. Now there's spoilers of no threesome for reasons. I actually thought Gray and Harper had better chemistry. I liked Ren, but I thought Gray and Harper's chemistry was better. So I'm not sure where the second book's gonna go with that. I'm not sure, but I'm intrigued now. I'm interested. So I think I might check out the rest of the series. And the second book, I think, just came out relatively recently, this year or later last year, and the new one cover just got announced. So I'm willing to see what the rest of the series looks like. I like these characters. I like the world building. I think it's interesting, so I'm intrigued. I'm willing to check the rest out. The last book that I ended up reading was Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert. Finally! Yay! Because I've seen so much hype about this one, and man, did it deliver. Talia Hibbert, I think she gets better and better with every book I read of hers. This was really great. It was really well done. This is a romance between Zafir and Danny. I rated it like 4.5, between 4.5, 5 stars, more leaning towards 5-star. I thought the banter between the two of them was really great. I thought the two of them both had like really great layers and complexity to them. Zafir is like a former rugby player struggling with anxiety, and Danny is like has emotional baggage of her own where she just decides not to connect to her feelings romantically. I love a heroine that's not in touch with her feelings. I kind of love that because I feel like the heroes are the ones who get that more often. Heroes are usually the ones that are like, do I love her? No, I don't, and refuse to acknowledge it, and then they like figure it out. So having a heroine do that was kind of refreshing. Personally, I also don't really connect to my feelings very well, so I liked that Danny had that going for her. Like, just some things were just like, she physically felt things. Her chest was tight, her stomach was in knots, she was crying. Why are all these things happening? And yeah, it's just something that I definitely could appreciate. There's something that I like to call the aha moment. For me, is the aha moment is the one character, not usually, both characters usually aren't like this. There's usually at least one character that's like, I don't know what I'm feeling, and I'm feeling all these things. Or not most books. Some books have the one character where I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm not, I'm totally not confronting or admitting that these feelings are happening. And so when they realize it, it's like the aha moment. And that's what I personally call it. I don't know if it's actually called that. That's just my own personal preference. Her aha moment was a little bit weak to me, only because I'm particular about it. That's the only reason I couldn't grade it a full 5 stars, because otherwise it was fantastic, and the humor in it was really funny, and like their connection was just really genuine. They start off as friends, they start fake dating to promote his charity, and he just absolutely adores her. It's so sweet. So I just thought the aha moment was just a little weak, which is why I made it like 4.5, but really it's more 5 stars because it still was very, very good. It was hard to like, I didn't want to be too nitpicky on it because it still was really, really excellent. It was just a really well-told romance and some steam, and it just had a mixture of all sorts of good things. So yeah, that is my last book and last thoughts. In total, I read 15 books for this month, which is pretty good for me. I did 6 physical books, 7 ebooks, 2 audiobooks. I know I did half stars, but I'm doing, for the amount of stars I had, I'm just doing full stars. So I had 4 5 stars. I can't tell you the last time I've had 4 or 5 stars ever in 1 month in my life. 8 4 stars, 3 3 stars. For the readathons that I had, the Disney movie readathon, I read 4 books. That was only a week-long readathon. And then the 3-month read-alongs, the readathons, Disney readathon, I read all 5 books for my team, Beauty and the Beast. Summer Fling readathon, I read 7 books for out of the 12 prompts. That was one of the ones that I didn't finish as much of the prompts as I really wanted to, but I did pretty well. I was actually quite impressed with myself, so I was pleased. For the Trope-ical Readathon, I did 11 out of the 13 common challenges, 2 team books, because one of them was on my TBR anyway, so I ended up doing that team book and was able to count for it towards my romance team, and then 1 team challenge for team romance. Unfortunately, I was really hoping I was going to be able to squeeze that last one in there, but it just didn't happen. Pretty good overall. I'm quite pleased with my performance. I had on my TBR 19, I did 15, and I threw in an extra book that I didn't really have planned because it's me and that's how I read. So yeah, quite a good month. But I'm happy to say my September TBR is a little bit lighter this month. And that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please subscribe and hit bells and like things. I'd really appreciate it. Let me know if you read any of the books that I read this month, and if you like them. I'd be really curious to know, and I'd be happy to know. Or if you dislike them and why, please let me know. I'd love to hear some comments and see some opinions. And thank you again so much for watching. I will see you again soon. Bye!